And welcome back, everyone, to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome. Make sure you guys hit that follow button. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. Also, you see the books by our next guest. We're excited to welcome back Pamela Mshana to our broadcast today. She's the author of the series Girls in Search of Cover. I have parts 1 and 2 here from me. You guys can be able to get them for yourself on Amazon. We have them highlighted in the carousel for you guys. You'll see either here down the side or down below. We're going to talk to Pamela not only about the inspiration for the series, but also what it's been like for her to introduce the characters, what she hopes you able to take away from the books, and also why you definitely want these to be on your reading list. If you haven't read them already going into December, Pamela, thank you again for the time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to be on your show. And I have to take a quick moment and congratulate you on all your recent successes. It's so exciting.
Well, thank you for that, Pamela. I appreciate that. Congratulations to you on the successes of this series. I know a lot of great things have been happening for you. We're going to get more into that. I do want to say before I forget, welcome to those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. We are simulcasting our broadcast as always as well. Pamela, let's start there with the successes of the series. What has it been like for you to have written these two books now, Girls in Search of Color, Part 1 and 2, and to see the way the readers are responding to them?
It's been really gratifying, uplifting, encouraging. You spend so much time writing something, and you're hoping that the world will see in it what you see in it.
Yeah.
And so to have judges read and select you as a winner, even to hear back.
Pamela, we lost your sound there for a second. Let's see. You can hear me okay, Pamela?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, now I can. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Do you want me to repeat that?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I'm sorry. Yeah, the sound went out on it.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was just saying that it's encouraging and inspiring. It's even validating. You spend
Mhm.
so and so when readers come back and they tell you that it touched them or that they were inspired to even make a change in their lives, or the judges who have selected you after reading so many works, choosing. I was just recently selected as a first place winner in women's fiction for the Book Fest Award, which write the next books.
Okay. Pamela, it was freezing up there. I got most of what you were saying there, but yeah, it was freezing up there on your end. Just to let you know toward the end there. But Pamela, what you're saying though bears out to what like people like myself who've read the books, right? Who are just readers who can pick up the book. I remember our very first conversation that we had about Girls in Search of Cover Part 1, and I have it highlighted in the carousel for those who are just finding out about the series there. Definitely want to be able to add this to your list because I love the fact that you're able to give us characters that are relatable, Pamela, but also show us the journey of the characters, right? Even
Yes.
everything from the cover that is so symbolic, even in itself, when it talks about the generations that we're able to
Yes.
see in the book. What was that like for you to see initially, the way that people responded to those characters and saw themselves in them?
You know, um, it's a good feeling because when people, again, can relate to your characters,
Mhm.
that causes that self reflection, that introspection. And that's, I think, what we all want as writers, for people to be able to relate to the characters and go on the journey, put their selves in the shoes of the characters and explore and see the world. And then maybe it's cause for change even in the reader. And if it's a book that gives a positive message that for me as a writer, that's part of the goal. But it's always just so exciting to hear so many of the different comments from readers. They even make me think about what I've written,
Mm,
and the themes that are present that maybe I didn't see myself. So
yeah.
really exciting to hear back from readers.
That's a really good point you bring up. So let's go back then for those who are just discovering you, Pamela, because one of the things I always say to myself is, I may have enjoyed a book, read a book, gotten into a series, and then people like, what are you reading? You tell them like, I'm just now hearing about it. So for those who are just now hearing about Girls in Search of Cover, how did it all begin? How did the series begin for you?
It really started by, it just kind of came to me. Oftentimes, so the story just kind of came to me. Oftentimes, I find that maybe even for months or years, I've been kind of writing a story in my head. And then at some point, I sit down and I write it. But I also see it, quite honestly, as a type of gift from God to me, because it was a sexual violation, or different struggles, the generational struggles, the family struggles. It helped me do some healing as I wrote it. But again, it excites me so much when I hear readers say the same. And I mentioned before, too, judges who have selected it to win contests, their feedback. Sometimes you even get writing.
And Pamela, I think even going to the title of the book, Girls in Search of Cover, the idea after reading part one, and I think people definitely see it in part two, the idea of protection. When you think about cover, I think one of the things that comes through for me in kind of thinking about the characters, looking for protection, looking for
Yes.
security. Talk to us about the title for you for this series and kind of how it came about.
Yeah. The title, Girls in Search of Cover, is in a lot of ways biblically related for me.
Mm,
I even open with a scripture in Ezekiel when it talks about, when I passed by you and saw you struggling in your blood, I said to you, live. It relates to that type of struggle. But when you look at the cover, you can see it behind me, but I'll hold it a little
hmm
closer
Yeah.
too. The leaves for me are a type of covering,
hmm
and again, the silhouettes represent the generations,
hmm
and so I allude to the idea you wind up searching for that cover again. And
hmm
through the process of the book, the characters, go through some discoveries. I don't want to totally spoil it,
Yeah.
but they work through the process to discover um, their covering, or to regain their covering.
Yeah. I think the other side of it too, as people, especially start reading part one, um, I go back to the idea of protection because I think for a lot of times, especially for young people, right?
Yeah.
They look for adults. They look for
Mhm.
their families to be that for them in some ways.
I'm
Um,
glad you brought that up.
yeah,
Yeah.
and in the series, there seems to be a lack of that, either
Mhm.
because the individuals, as we know, for a lot of families, Pamela, you can't provide what you don't know yourself, right? And, and,
Exactly.
and so, talk to us about that because I think there's so many layers even to the title and how it fits the characters. Talk to us about that and how the characters have to grapple with that as well.
So we have the grandmother, the mother, and even women on the mother's board. These are seasoned, mature people, and the people in the community that you would expect to be able to give you that wisdom. But in this story, they're kind of caught in their own hurts and past. problems that they haven't resolved. And because of that, they're not able to be the proper cover for the young people around them. They're too wrapped up in their own pain to be able to help someone else. So a lot of people say that hurting people hurt people. I say too that healed people help people.
Mm, love that. We have a comment on the Amazon side saying truly an amazing series to read. Totally agree with that. It is a series that I think really does bring you in, and it's when a book can make you feel different emotions, Pamela.
Mhm.
You know, for one, that it's a book that connects with you, but
Yeah.
also that there was a plan. But I'm curious, did you go into the first book with a plan for there to be more, or was it just the way that it evolved for you?
I would say that it's just the way it evolved for me.
Okay.
I didn't know that it would be a series, and it's my same approach with when I'm writing. My characters, I don't try to make them be a certain way. I let them develop and kind of tell me who they are,
Hmm.
and they show me how they respond to different situations, and that's to me part of the fun of it, because they become these real people, and in some ways they're predictable because I guess when you've drawn their characters out in a really round way, um, you have so much to draw from and to pull from. But no, I didn't go into it with that plan. But my goodness, now I have readers telling me, "Oh, you should do a prequel. We want to know about how
Mm.
those the mothers board became like this. What is that past? We want to know more." And then I have people telling me, "We want to know more about the male characters. We want to know more about Carl, the brother." So I do see myself writing a few more.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that gives us something to look forward to. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, welcome. You all are watching Cyrus Represents. Appreciate you guys over there on Amazon. Again, I definitely encourage you guys go ahead and get part one of Girls in Search of Cover. You guys see it there, as well as part two. Great reading as we're wrapping up this year. Also, great to be able to share with your family and friends as well. I'm going to be working with Pamela going into December to be able to help you guys find out more information about the series and also encourage you all to share your own thoughts. So, Pamela, you were talking about the judges. I want to talk about just readers because you actually created a
Sure.
reading room even online. What does it
Yeah.
feel like you to see how your readers have kind of come together to support the series too?
We just share the writing process. We share about our characters and even where we've studied and how much study helps or not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fun place. And so when readers comment there or give a thumbs up or a like, that's encouraging as well. And I like when they not only express that they're going to go out and get my book, but also other people's work as we discuss it.
Yeah. You've been able to build this interesting tribe as well, Pamela, of readers and other authors too. What has it been like for you to have in your support system those who understand the journey of writing and what it means to be a published author and all that comes with that? What has that been like for you to have that kind of a support system?
You know, I'm so new in this world of writing novels. It has been so important to meet like minded people and be able to discuss and support one another because it's a tough business to break into. So,
Mhm.
the more support and the more parts of your tribe that you can bring together, the better. And I love that we support each other by going to different events or trying to tune in on YouTube or different places, Instagram for different interviews. But it's also heartwarming because you know it's a competitive field and people
Mhm.
take the time to just not think about themselves, but to make sure they're supporting you. And that's what I try to do as well. So I feel like I'm in the beginning of my journey. I certainly have part of my tribe, but I also feel like I'm still finding part of my tribe.
Love that. And then it's going to continue to grow. Hello to you, Donna. Good to be able to see you on the Facebook side. Donna says, I see you, my sister. She's joining us there. Donna Renee Patrick on Facebook. Appreciate you watching us. And that leads us to this question. So, again, for those who are brand new to the series, Pamela, tell them about the main characters. Break down the names and a little bit about the main characters. They'll meet with part one of the series.
Okay, we have Carmia, who's the main character, and we're introduced to her as a young girl. And she has just experienced a traumatic event, and she is really a fireball. So she challenges the authority around her, and she has to learn to submit in a southern environment because her family is caused after a tragedy to go live with her mother in Vagina, Mississippi. So it's quite an adjustment for her. She doesn't want to be there. And she becomes an outcast. So, with that said, just imagine all the things that I've mentioned, what could possibly happen to a character like this. But then there's adults around who are not as sensitive as we might hope. For a young person who's going through things like this, they're too wrapped up. I think of them as being stuck at little girl stage themselves. So it's almost like a girl fight because the adults haven't matured from the place of their own pain. So so there's Mother Johns, and she's not a nice mother of the church. She, but you know what? I think as people read her, they're able to see kind of what makes her tick, and even that her redeeming qualities, if you will, is her love for her own family. But she is quite a strong character, and she is not what we would expect a typical mother of the church to be. She's involved with a lot of things that we wouldn't expect. So I don't want to spoil that either. You can find out. And we also have Pastor Himley. And she has a lot of obstacles to overcome. But we have a lot of fun characters too, like Mother Givens and Mother Thompson. So there's a lot of, I would say, happy moments just because of the way they express themselves or some of their actions. If you just think of a bunch of elderly women together and the things that they might say to each other as they're observing a community, and even checking each other. It's funny when they check each other for wrongdoings. They use the scripture against each other a lot, rebuking one another using the word. So that's kind of like what the world of the that the characters are in.
Yeah, you just brought up something, a comment on Amazon says, and evidently they have read the book. They said, I love the way how you write powerful words in sometimes a poetic way. So what was it like for you to find your voice as you were writing these books, Pamela? And what I mean by that is that the way you wanted to tell these stories.
I love that comment because I didn't focus on whether or not it's poetic, but I do have to tell you that my start, if you will, as a writer was poetry. So I think some of that history is spilling into my work, and I can see it too with certain passages that I've written in certain chapters. And I love that. I love that people can see that. It's not done necessarily it comes out that way, especially with the generational talk. It comes out a lot there.
Pamela, I think we talked about some of the more somber things in the book, but there is a positive through line, and
Mm-hmm.
that is I think the idea of strength. I love the fact that whether we're talking about Girls in Search of Cover Part 1 or Part 2, the idea that even if you may not feel strong today, you can get strength. Cormia, I think, is a great example of that, being able to find strength. Also, I think you show us that even though you may have it, you can lose it, but
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you can't gain it again. What was that like for you to show how these characters were able to discover that they could be able to find the strength to endure, find the strength to move forward, find the strength to have a better life if they chose to?
I think that's central to the theme, to be an overcomer, to
Mhm.
not let tragedy and abuse and things like that stop you. So, the idea of strength is certainly a strong theme, and I allude to that even when I speak briefly about slaves who endured as much so much that they have endured, and the the characters in the present remembering that and using that as a way of voices urging them forward to a better place. So strength is passed from the grandmother to the granddaughter, from the grandmother to the daughter. Strength is all over this story, but also in the way of power. There's power plays and people abusing power, people using power for good. So there's certainly a strong sense of what are we doing with the power that we have?
Yeah,
And power being misplaced,
yeah.
and then you learning to use your power in a better way.
Love that. Love that. Such a great way to whet their appetite, Pamela, for the books. Again, everyone, Pamela Mshana has been our guest. Girls in Search of Cover is the series. You have part 1 that is out now. We're going to highlight it on the Amazon side for you guys. And you can also go ahead and get part 2 and get it highlighted for you guys over on Amazon. There it is. Yeah, part 2. You can go ahead and pick those up, add them to your reading list, and go ahead and dive into the world that Pamela has created. Pamela, I really appreciate you able to be back on with us to kind of break down what people can expect in this series. How can they stay connected with you?
Of course. Well, thank you for having me again. And
Mhm.
I love to hear from readers. So, the easiest way to connect with me is my website, pamelamashana.com. But I actually get maybe a little more traffic and respond quicker when I hear from people on Instagram and even Facebook, and of course, the Reading Room, which is also on Facebook. So, it's Dr. Pamela Mashana's Reading Room on Facebook.
All right, Pamela. Congratulations to you again. I know we have other conversations to come, but looking forward to checking back in with you soon.
Thank you, Cyrus.
All right. And we thank you, our viewers, for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying thank you so much for being on with us. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.